Hey, Joe here, GoodHousePainting.com, and in today's video, we're going to go over 5 simple steps to painting a room. There's 5 steps you could take to painting any room. The first step is paint. For paint, you're going to need to figure out color options. There's a lot to pick from when it comes to colors, and if you really want to get in depth with color options, you can research the color theory. Color theory will teach you everything you need to know about mixing and matching colors. Now, there is warm colors and there is cool colors. The warm colors are reds and yellows and oranges, and the cool colors are blues and greens and light tan colors. Also with paint is finishes. So the sheen of the paint. This typically depends usually on which room you are painting, but with a bedroom we go with flat paints. But the different sheens are flat, matte, eggshell, satin, semi-gloss, high gloss, and so on. Then with paint we also have primer options. Now there's latex water-based primer and there's oil-based primer. I tend to use oil-based primer for a lot of things because I know it will do the trick and it will cover better. Then there's the paint amount, so you have to figure out how much paint you need, which we've discussed in other videos, but basically you take the measurements and figure out how much paint you need, knowing that a gallon will get you a certain coverage. And don't forget, you'll need 2 coats. On our website, in the article goodhousepainting.com/how to paint a room, you will find 4 links to paint amount calculators. There is one from Sherwin-Williams, one from Benjamin Moore, one from Lowe's, and one from Pittsburgh Paints. Number 2 is supplies. Now that you have your paint, you're going to need supplies so you can get the paint job done. There's 2 types of supplies you're going to need. There is tools and equipment, and then there is materials. Typical tools that you'll need to get the average paint job done is ladders, brushes, drop cloths, dust brushes or brooms, rags, caulk guns, spackle knives, pole sanders or sanding blocks, 5-in-1 tools, cut buckets, roller frames and covers, roller pans or buckets and grids, paint screens, extension poles, screwdrivers, and a vacuum. The materials that you're going to need is the paint, caulk, painter's tape, drywall compound, drywall tape, and cleaners. Number 3 is preparation. There are 3 things you'll need to prepare before beginning to paint. These 3 things include the room, your tools, and yourself. Let's start with the room. First is the furniture. You want to either remove the furniture from the area or combine the furniture into clusters so you can cover up and protect them. Typically, the furniture is arranged in the middle of the room. Unless there is an item on the ceiling you'll need to get to, you'll need to arrange the furniture in an offset area. Then we have covering. We need to cover all the furniture, typically with plastic, and then cover the flooring with canvas drop cloths. This way, if you get any paint drops, they won't hit the carpets or the hardwood flooring. Then we need to prepare the ceiling and the walls. Typically, you start by repairing nail pops and cracks. And then you go ahead and sand and prime the areas. You also want to make sure that you prep the trim. If there's any gaps in the trim, you need to caulk it. And if there's any trim nails that are sticking out, make sure to use a nail punch to push them in and fill the hole. Next, you need to prepare your supplies. Plenty of times I've bought a gallon or a 5-gallon bucket of brand new paint, only to find that there's chunks and boogers in the paint. This gets pretty annoying, so typically we strain the paint every time we buy it. Then you want to prep your roller covers. Every roller cover, no matter the quality, will have a little bit of debris that falls off onto the wall if you don't use tape to remove it. There are a couple ways to go about removing the lint from your roller, which all include using masking tape. Then you want to prep your roller pans. If you use an 18-inch roller tray, it's nice to line the tray with plastic and tape, so when you're done, you have a clean tray and easy transportation of the paint at the end. Next, you want to prepare yourself. You're going to have paint splattered all over you, especially on your face when you're rolling the ceiling. So make sure to wear a mask or a hat to protect your head and hair. You should also cover your eyes with safety glasses, especially if you're rolling with oil paints. Number 4 is a cut and roll. So now that everything is prepared, sanded, smoothed, and primed over, it's time to start cutting and rolling the top coat. We usually start with the ceiling, cutting around the edges with a brush or a mini roller, and then filling in the center with an 18-inch roller using a flat white paint. Before moving on to the walls, we like to paint the trim first. This way you can cut the wall color into the return of the trims. This makes for a much easier and straighter line. Trim paint is typically brushed onto the surfaces. This creates less of a stipple surface and more of a shiny surface, especially when you sand between coats. Sometimes we hold off on the doors until after we're done painting the walls, but this can happen whenever. If you do the baseboards before you do the walls, make sure you give it time to dry so you can tape them off. Then we do the same process with the walls. Starting up high, we make a nice straight cut line along the corner where the ceiling meets the wall, typically using a custom color, so it's crucial to make a crisp, clean line. After the room's cut, you fill the whole area in with an 18-inch roller, or if you prefer, a 9-inch roller. Make sure to get 2 even coats and watch out for holidays. Number 5 is cleanup. Now that you're all done painting the room, you can go ahead and clean the room, clean your supplies, and clean yourself. To clean the room, you want to make sure you remove plastic and coverings from top to bottom, removing the floor drop cloths last. Roll everything into the center to lessen the amount of debris that comes flying out. After you removed your drop cloths from the room, it's time to rearrange the furniture back into its original position. Typically, we take pictures of the room before arranging the furniture so we know how to put it back the right way. After you have your furniture back in place, either at the homeowner's house or at your shop, you need to clean your materials. Sometimes it's worth just tossing the rollers and buying new ones, but with brushes, you need to give them a good cleaning. Then you need to go ahead and clean yourself up. If you used oil-based paints, you might need to use some mineral spirits or paint thinner to clean yourself up. Next, we need to make sure that we store our leftover paint properly. Leaving the homeowner with touch-up paint is always a good idea. Make sure you label it so no one gets confused. Typically, if there's leftover ceiling paint or trim paint, you can take these paints to use at a later time. And that's it. 5 simple steps to painting a room. Now there's obviously little things in between that a more experienced, well-trained painter would know and do. And I can explain all these things to you in a longer and more in-depth video that eventually I will be coming out with. But for now, if you liked this video, please like and subscribe. And share it with your friends. And hit the bell icon if you want to receive notifications when I send out more videos. Thanks again. Happy painting.